you know that by the time you finish watching this video, 1000 more hectares of rainforest would have been lost? I know that's one of the hardest things to swallow, but that's the truth. Anomalous activities of human beings on a so large scale is leading the ecosystem of the world to a large-scale mass extinction. But this is not the first time. If you look back into the past, there were 5 mass extinctions happened in the history. The death of the dinosaurs was just one of the 5 global events that saw millions of species wiped out. How do these events happen? And how can we stop it happening again? So to know all this, just watch the full video for the sake of your knowledge and for the welfare of the ecosystem. The first mass extinction was Ordovician Silurian extinction, which happened about 440 million years ago. The first mass extinction on Earth occurred in a period when organisms such as corals and shelled brachiopods filled the world's shallow waters but hadn't yet ventured onto land. Life itself was beginning to spread and diversify, having first emerged about 3.7 billion years ago. But about 440 million years ago, a climatic shift caused sea temperatures to change and the majority of the life in the ocean died. At the end of the Ordovician period, a rapid onset of mass glaciation covered the southern supercontinent Gondwana. Glaciation on this scale locked away high percentages of the world's water and dramatically lowered the global sea levels, which stripped away vital habitats from many species, destroying food chains and decreasing reproductive success, according to a study published in the journal Oceanology. It is not known exactly what triggered these events. One theory is that the cooling process may have been caused by the formation of the North American Appalachian Mountains. Large-scale erosion of these mountains' silicate rocks is associated with the removal of the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Not all scientists agree with this, however, alternative theories suggest that toxic metals may have been dissolved into the ocean waters during a period of oxygen depletion, wiping out marine life, according to National Geographic. Other scientists suggest that a gamma ray burst from a supernova ripped an enormous hole in the ozone layer, allowing deadly ultraviolet radiation to kill life below. And another theory suggests that volcanism was the cause, according to a study published in the journal Geology. The second mass extinction was the late Devonian extinction, which happened 365 million years ago. Often referred to as the Age of Fish, the Devonian period saw the rise and fall of many prehistoric marine species. Although by this time animals had begun to evolve on land, the majority of life swam through the oceans. That was until vascular plants such as trees and flowers likely caused a second mass extinction, according to a 1995 study published in the journal GSA Today. As plants evolved roots, they transformed the land they lived on, turning rock and rubble into soil, according to the BBC. This nutrient-rich soil then ran into the world's oceans, causing algae to bloom on an enormous scale. These blooms essentially created giant dead zones, which are areas where algal strips oxygen from the water, suffocating marine life and wreaking havoc on marine food chains. Species that were unable to adapt to the decreased oxygen levels and lack of food died. This theory, however, is debated, and some scientists believe that volcanic eruptions were responsible for the decrease in oxygen levels in the ocean. One sea monster that was wiped from the world's ocean was a 33-foot-long armored fish called Dunkleosteus. The third one was the Permian-Triassic extinction, which happened 253 million years ago. This extinction event, often referred to as the Great Dying, is the largest ever hit the Earth. It wiped out some 90% of all the planet's species and decimated the reptiles, insects, and amphibians that roamed on land. What caused this catastrophic event was a period of rampant volcanism. At the end of the Permian period, the part of the world we now call Siberia erupted into explosive volcanoes. This released a large amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, causing a greenhouse effect that heated up the planet. As a result, weather patterns shifted, sea levels rose, and acid rain beat down on the land. In the ocean, the increased level of carbon dioxide dissolved into the water, poisoning marine life and depriving them of oxygen-rich water. At the time, the world consisted of one supercontinent called Pangaea, which some scientists believe contributing to a lack of the movement in the world's oceans, creating a global pool of stagnant water that only perpetuated carbon dioxide accumulation. Rising sea temperatures also reduced oxygen levels in the water. Corals were a group of marine life forms that were among the worst affected. It took 14 million years for the ocean reefs to rebuild to their former glory. The fourth one was the Triassic-Jurassic extinction, which happened 201 million years ago. The Triassic period erupted in new and diverse life, and dinosaurs began to populate the world. Unfortunately, numerous volcanoes also erupted at that time, although it remains unclear exactly why this fourth mass extinction occurred. Scientists think that massive volcanic activities occurred in an area of the world now covered by the Atlantic Ocean. Similar to the Permian extinction, volcanoes released enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, driving climate change and devastating life on Earth. Global temperature increased, ice melted, and sea levels rose and acidified. As a result, many marine and land species became extinct. These include large prehistoric crocodiles and some flying pterosaurs. There are alternative theories explaining this mass extinction, which suggest that rising carbon dioxide levels released trapped methane, which would have resulted in a similar series of events. And the fifth mass extinction was the KPG extinction, which happened 66 million years ago. The most famous of all the mass extinction events is the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction, better known as the Day of the Dinosaurs Died. The event is sometimes also known as the KT extinction, and geologists called it the KPG extinction because of the letter C is shortened for the previous geological period called the Cambrian. The K is from the German word Cretae, which means Cretaceous. Crash landing into what is today Yucatan, Mexico, an asteroid over 8 miles wide plunged into Earth at around 45,000 miles per hour. This punched a hole of 110 miles wide and 12 miles deep, called the Chicxulub crater. The impact would have scorched all the land around it within 900 miles and ended the 180 million years reign of the dinosaurs on Earth. What followed the impact were months of blackened skies caused by the debris and dust being hurled into the atmosphere. This prevents plants from absorbing sunlight, and they died out en masse and broke down the dinosaurs' food chains. It also caused global temperatures to plummet, plunging the world into an extended cold weather. Scientists estimate that most extinctions on Earth at the time would have occurred in just months after the impact. However, many species that could fly, burrow, or dive into the depth of the ocean survived. For example, the only true descendants of the dinosaurs living today are the modern-day birds. More than 10,000 species are thought to have descended from impact survivors. But today, while it is doubtful if any new species are being added into the Earth's treasury of species, there is no doubt about the continuing losses. The biological wealth of our planet has been declining rapidly, and the accusing finger is clearly pointing to the human activities. The colonization of tropical Pacific islands by humans is said to have led to the extinction of more than 2,000 species of native birds. The IUCN Red Data Book documented the extinction of 784 species, including 338 vertebrates, 359 invertebrates, and 87 plants. Some examples of recent extinctions include the dodo, the quagga, thylacine, stellar sea cow, and the 3 subspecies of Bali, Java, and Casparian of tigers. The last 20 years alone have witnessed the disappearance of 27 species. Careful analysis of records shows that the extinction across taxa are not random. Some groups like amphibians appear to be more vulnerable to extinction. Adding to the grim scenario of extinction is the fact that more than 15,500 species worldwide are facing the threat of extinction. Presently, 12% of all bird species, 23% of all mammal species, 32% of all amphibian species, and 31% of all gymnosperm species in the world face the threat of extinction. But the biggest question is that should we blame human beings for all these things? Ever since the beginning of the population pumping industrial revolution in 1760, humans have been the main contributor to Earth's current environmental crisis. From greenhouse gas emission and ozone depletion to the deforestation, plastic pileup, and the illegal animal trade, humans have actively stripped the world of some species and threatened many more. There are those who argue that climate change and extinction of animal species are a natural part of life, and in some way that's true. After all, the first 5 mass extinctions occurred without the presence of humans. However, the difference is the speed at which these mass extinctions happened. Fossil records don't just tell us what creatures existed before us, but also how long a species can naturally survive before become extinct without human interference. This is referred to as the background rate, and it is equal to around 1 species extinction per 1 million species per year. Currently, because of human activity, the actual background rate is tens of thousands of times higher, meaning species are becoming extinct much faster than they should be. Studies have found that some species lost from Earth would have continued to survive for 800 to 10,000 years without the interference of human activities, according to a study published in the journal Science Advances. So still, if you are unaware about this global crisis, so please rise up and do something. Just go out, plant trees, stop the use of plastics, don't use AC, fridge, and always try to use trains and buses for the medium of transport or bicycle. Don't use personal car, please. So finally, I would like to say that you have learned a lot from this single video, so please like and do subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.